Fatin, could you please unshare your screen first, please? Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and greetings to all peer coaches. Dr. Rafiza, Head of Department Curriculum and Instructional Technology, Universiti Malaya, and also Honorable Guest Speaker for today, Dr. Azma Abdul Hamid. Thank you for joining us for our sharing session on how to be an effective trainer, tips and tricks. So before we begin our session, to all my Muslim coaches, it is better if we recite Kitab Al-Fatiha, and to my non-Muslim friends, you can do your own prayer. So before I begin, Dr. Azma, could you say hello to all our participants today?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all the participants in this call this morning, particularly Dr. Rafiza, for allowing me to come and share my experience with the rest of you.
Okay, so now let me introduce and give a simple background on our speaker. She is one and only Dr. Azma Abdul Hamid, partner and learning strategist from Content Capital Sendian Berhad. With more than 30 years experience in education, Dr. Azma is an advocate of technology in education. Her teaching experiences included stints in the USA, Mexico, and Malaysia. She has had the opportunity to serve public and private universities and also the corporate sector. Focusing on designing teaching and learning environment, she continually searches for effective and efficient modes of content delivery, which has led her path to e-learning initiatives. It has since been her passion to see technology is used an effective tool in the 21st century classroom. Her dedicated involvement in e-learning has earned her an Excellence in E-Learning Award 2015 presented by the World Education Congress and Education NGO based in Mumbai. She is currently a global training partner to Microsoft and holds Microsoft Certified Educator Certificate. Recently, she was awarded the Global Training Partner of the Year award for APAC region by Microsoft for her work on education transformation framework. So that is a simple background on her. So she is really impressed me with all those experience. So without wasting any time, I would pass the mic to Dr. Azma to continue our program. And to all the peer coaches, if you have any feedback or any question, you can type in the chat box. I will respond to it throughout our session today. Thank you. Pass to you, Dr. Azma.
Thank you very much, Diana. Okay, our moderator for today. Okay, all right. Before we jumped into the real thing or the objective of today's meeting, let me just sort of know a little bit about you and this program. Anybody can answer me. Like I said, if I want it to be an interactive session rather than just me talking to you. All right. So you can on your microphone if you want to share your answer with the audience and also particularly with me. All right. So basically, can I have show of hands? Using the icon that we have in Microsoft Teams. Those of you who are from Kuala Lumpur. Anybody here from Kuala Lumpur? No one from KL? All right. Okay. Anybody from all the way from Kelantan? Show of hands. Okay. Oh, Liana from Kelantan. Are you at home now? So you are beaming to us from Kelantan. Liana, which part of Kelantan?
Yeah.
Which part
I
of
live
Kelantan?
in Machang, and I'm
Machang.
stay at home now.
All right. So the line is quite good there because we can hear you very clearly.
Thank God.
Okay. So who else? Just now from Kelantan. Aiza, you are also from Kelantan?
No, doctor, I'm from Malacca.
Oh, from Malacca. Okay, Malacca, cuaca bagus?
Yeah, so far so good.
Which part of Malacca?
Nearer to the town, doctor.
Okay, all right. Anybody here from Penang? Anybody from Penang? Raise your hand and let me know which part of Penang are you from? Which part of your Penang are you beaming in? Lim, where are you? Which part of Penang are you from?
Hi, good morning, doctor.
Hi.
I'm Nibong Tebao.
Nibong Tebal. So you are here, not on the island.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, Nur Lailia Idris. Which part of Penang? Are you on the island or are you on the mainland? I can't hear you that well. Maybe it's because of your line. All right. So anybody here from all the way from Perlis? All the way up north from Perlis. Anybody from Perlis? No one from Perlis. Anyone all the way from the south, from Johor? Okay, Izati, which part of Johor are you at the moment?
Sulai Johor.
Kulai. Okay, all right. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody from all the way from Borneo? Anybody from Sabah? Do we have anyone from Sabah? Or Sarawak? Muhammad Nur Firdaus. Are you from Sabah or Sarawak?
Sarawak, Doctor.
Sarawak. Which part of Sarawak are you at?
Kuching.
Kuching. Okay. All right. Been there quite a few times. Okay. So no representative from Sabah. Matthew, where are you from, Matthew?
I am from Cebu, Sarawak.
A little bit louder.
Cebu, Sarawak.
So, Kuching, Sarawak as well. Okay.
Cebu,
All right.
Cebu.
Okay. All right. What else? Perak. Anybody from Perak? Wan Mutalib.
I'm from Parit Bunta.
Oh, okay. That's my kampung. My mom's kampung. Muhammad Irfan. Muhammad Irfan, where are you from?
From Tanjung Malim, Doctor.
Tanjung Malim, dekat sejelah sini. Okay, all right, everyone, welcome. Welcome to our session online today. All right, due to the pandemic, we are not able to meet face to face. I would love to meet everybody face to face, right? But because of our situation, we make do what we have, and today this is the new normal. All right, no longer need to feel stressful if we are not able to reach people on a physical basis, because the technology is here to support us otherwise. Okay, all right, so let us begin. Let me first share my screen. The topic that was given to me is tips and tricks or how to be a good trainer. All right, so I will try to share as much as I can from my own experience. Yeah, so this is like something that does not really come from a textbook, but more of my own personal experience. Right, and we're looking at also specific tools, which is the Microsoft tools. All right, so we're going to take a look at that and see how we can use or leverage on technology today in order to make us a better trainer. Okay, all right. All right, that's me. I'm here because I love to share. Anybody who asks me to share, especially on teaching and learning processes, I would never, or I would not have said no. Okay, so this is something that I want you young teachers, coaches, to hold on and always remember. Especially in this 21st century, we are already 21 years into the 21st century, all right, and we have seen the volatility of the 21st century. Things move very fast, things changes very fast, all right. Therefore, we need to continue to reinvent ourselves so that we can stay relevant and be useful, or else we will be made redundant. We do not want to become redundant. All right. So in order for us to continue to stay relevant and be useful to the target audience that we serve, or general public that we are attached to, all right, we need to continue to reinvent ourselves. All right. Being educators, being coaches, being trainers, you need to start it first. Then only you can walk the talk. Then only you can actually encourage and inspire your audience. Your target audience, your students, your trainees to do what needs to be done. If we do not set the standard, if we do not set the example, then it is very difficult for you to talk from your heart. All right? Things will only be seen as real. Things will only be accepted when the person who's listening to us hear from our voice that we really mean it. So in order for us to mean what we say, we must experience it first. Okay, so hold on to this. Hopefully you, if nothing else you get from my sharing today, is actually this quote of mine. All right, to continue to reinvent yourself, meaning that continue to learn. Lifelong learning is the in thing today, or is the thing that we need to embrace today, especially us as educators, so that we can actually give the skill to our students. All right. Okay. Before we go anywhere, I want to ask any one of you here who are already a member of the Microsoft Educator Center. Can you raise your hand if you are? Or do you know anything about Microsoft Educator Center? Oh, okay, we have one, Liana, we have Nora, Fasiha. Who else? Got 4 people already. We got Firdaus, Muhammad Noor, okay. Nur Farah Ain, all right. Nur Wafa, Wan Mutalib. Okay, great. So I hope the coaches in here are all already member of the MEC. Okay, if not, you need to be one. All right. Just to give you an a little bit information, or just an overview for those of you who are not familiar. Yeah. Let us just take a look for a minute at MEC. Okay, so this is Microsoft Educator Center. I am a member since 2015. All right, and since then, there are a lot of things that I've actually learned from this particular center. To me, this is a gold mine for us, a gold mine for knowledge, especially in technology, in leveraging technology in our teaching and learning process. All right, so as an educator, you need to be a member of this particular community. Okay, so you will get a lot of things here, and one thing good about this portal is that it is being updated on a very regular basis. All right, so what you have in here is actually correspond to the newest features, newest upgrades in many of the Microsoft tools. All right, so those of you who are still not a member, please do go to education.microsoft.com, get yourself signed up. It's free. All right, and you have hundreds of courses here that will benefit you in the long run as an educator. Okay, so that is the first thing that I want to highlight. I think I need to make you aware the availability of this portal so that you can take advantage of it. All right. Okay, for those of you who are a member, my other question is how often or how many courses have you done? Okay, because that's the other thing. Being a member itself is not enough, but doing things in the portal, I think, is the one that we want to go for. All right, and do it for a reason. Do it because you want to get the information or the knowledge of using the tools, or how to actually leverage the tools in a maximum impact. Those kind of things. Do not go in and do the courses just for the sake of the points and the badges and the certificate. All right, we do have some teachers with that kind of an attitude. They go in, they do as many courses as they can, just for the sake of the badge and the certificate. To me, that's not the way to do it. All right, go in there, check them out, check the courses out. Which one do you think you need most in trying to help you understand the teaching and learning process and how technology can be used to enhance the process? All right. That is the other thing that you need to do. Okay, so this is the first thing for everyone in this call, and those of you who are in this project, to make sure that you stay relevant. In order to reinvent yourself, this is one site that you can go to take courses, to keep yourself updated on the technology that's available. Even though the technology focus on this particular portal is the Microsoft technology, but if you are using other technology, the knowledge is still the same. It is regardless of the brand that you are using. All right. Whatever the theory behind us using the technology, whatever theory or reason of our choice, it is still the same as far as the teaching and learning is concerned. Whether we are going to use Microsoft technology or other technology, that is your prerogative. Okay. All right. Next one is just a little activity, all right, so that you won't fall asleep. Okay, can you go to this particular website, or you can scan my QR code there. All right, and this is an activity using one of the tools that's available in Microsoft, which is called Polls Everywhere. And please answer, or please participate in that activity. There is a question that I ask, or something that I asked there for you to answer quickly. All right. I give you 1 minute to scan and do the necessary thing, and then I will display the result of the activity. All right, go. Everybody got the URL or the QR code? You are in Polls Everywhere. Or let me probably pin the code. Oh, I don't have the chat. Okay, so let's take a look if anybody has answered my question. Okay, there you go. We got people answering already. All right, so the question was one word that describes you as a trainer. All right, so people said happy, a happy trainer, a fun trainer, a simple trainer, a friendly trainer, an authentic trainer. All right, trainer full of love, practical trainer. Okay, any more? All right. Okay. So a creative trainer, a passionate trainer, a friendly trainer, a smiley trainer. Okay. All right. So those are the words that you use to describe yourself as a trainer. Very important. Very important to be an effective trainer, that we know what kind of trainer we are. All right. If you need to define yourself, you know what kind of a trainer you are, because that will influence the way we do things. All right. There is no right or wrong answer, but you need to have a feeling of it, right? Because once you know that you are this kind of a trainer, and you think that your approach or your definition of yourself as a trainer is not making you an effective trainer, then we need to find a way of how to actually change our attitude towards being a trainer. So that's the first thing. Your mindset is very important. If you want to be a good trainer, you got to have a good mindset. All right. So look inside yourself. All right. I hope that those of you who are the coaches here, okay, are in this program because you want to be in the program. All right. I hope that you are not in here because you have to. Okay, that is very important. But even if you are in this program initially because you have to, but I hope you have actually realign yourself, find ways to like it so much that you actually want to be in this program. You have changed the way you look at this particular program from being sort of quote unquote forced to being want to be here, want to make a difference. All right. Sometimes we do not think things like this. The way we think is very important. It is actually very important because that subconsciously that will actually dictate on the things that we do, whether we like it or not, whether we are going to complain at every little things or every little obstacle that we face, or whether we're going to face the obstacle and say, come on, bring it head on, and I'll try and find ways to solve this. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to ask yourself, am I here because I want to, or am I here because I do not have a choice? If the answer is number 2, then find ways. All right, find ways to sort of change your mindset so that you become you will enjoy the experience because your enjoyment of the experience will translate to the kind of things that you will do with your students. All right, if you feel stress, then your students will get a very stressful learning experience. All right, but if you feel that this is something that you want to do because you know that you are going to make a difference to the life of your the people that you are going to coach, then that will translate into a lot of good vibes and good things. Okay. All right, so that's the first thing. Yeah, so look at yourself. Orang kata muhasabah lah kan. Tengok ke dalam diri. All right, and ask yourself. Okay, these are things that no textbook will be able to teach you. This is something that we do, and I think in Islam we are constantly asked to do this so that we know where we are and we try to be on the right path all the time. All right, so that's the first thing that that's the reason for this particular exercise. The other reason for doing this exercise is I just want to show to you, even if you are going to be doing the coaching online, there are activities that you can do with your students to hype up the sessions. Okay, so that the session is not going to be just one way, you talking and them listening. All right, so you need to find ways of how you can actually use available technology to add things or to add activities along the way. All right, so those are the 2 intentions of this particular activity. Okay, now let's go. Let's look at a more serious side of training or teaching or imparting knowledge. All right, some people like to be called coach, some people like to be called a teacher, some people like to be called a trainer. To me, any activity that is meant to impart knowledge to another person and that person receive the benefits from it, that is a teaching and learning situation. You can actually label it any which way you want. All right, okay, so the first thing that we want to look at is what are the required core skills that we need to have as a coach, as a teacher, as a trainer. All right, regardless of whether you are doing physical teaching, physical coaching, or if you are doing it online. Okay, which I believe that is what that you're going to be doing. Most of your coaching will be online coaching, yeah? Okay. Initially, for those of us who are in education, I've been in education for a long time. I'm 63, by the way. All right, so, all right, so, but I still love technology and I'm still exploring and reinventing myself to make my staff stay relevant. All right. I don't want to be redundant. Okay. Okay. So in the beginning of our teaching and learning experience, all right, I think those teachers who have been in education for a long time, when we talk about core skills, there are actually only two that are required of any teachers. One is the first one, which is the content knowledge. All right. We need to be well versed in whatever that we are teaching. Okay, so that is something that university will give you. All right, if you major in English, if you major in math, if you major in geography, those are the things that the university will give to you, and those are the things that will already be subscribed to you by the curriculum under MOE or whatever. All right, so that's the first thing, content knowledge. This is something that you cannot compromise. All right, if you want to teach somebody something, you first need to be the master of that particular subject matter area. When we talk about master, we're talking about, let's say, for example, you're teaching primary school. That means content relevant for primary school. We don't mean that if you are a physics teacher, you need to be like, a professor. Not necessarily. Enough content that you can serve your teaching learning community to the maximum. All right. And the second thing that the core skills that we need to have is the pedagogical skill, meaning that whatever that you teach, there is always a way of teaching it. No two subjects can be taught the same way. All right, because each subject has its own requirement, has its own needs. Therefore, the teaching methodology, the teaching approach will need to be based on that particular subject. I'm sure that if you are, you are from a different major, different major, right? You know that, teaching mathematics is very different from teaching English. Teaching English is very different from teaching geography and things like that. So these were the two core skills that were required of us in the past. Okay, so what do you call it? The mastery of these two things combined is called the pedagogical content knowledge, PCK. All right. However, okay, since the 20th century and the 21st century, we have an additional component that we need to master in order for us to become an effective teacher, a trainer, or a coach. All right, and that is actually the technology. Whether we like it or not, especially now, 21 years into the 21st century, whether we like it or not, technology is going to stay. All right. And technology is going to become more and more sophisticated. We need to start looking at it now. All right. So the core requirement for us today is what they call TPAC. I'm sure if you are in education, you have heard of this, or probably you have studied this already. All right. But just as a review for all of you, these are the skills that we need to master. All right. In order for us to deliver our content, or deliver our content so that learning can happen. All right. At the end of the day, our core business is to make people learn. All right. Not to make people clever. That we cannot do. That's the job of our Almighty. But we can help them learn by providing the necessary environment, by providing the necessary tools, by providing the necessary activities. Okay, so in order for us to do that in this 21st century, these three components need to be under our belt. We need to know pedagogy, which already the university would already have given you that. We need to know content. Again, that is usually provided, when we take either our degree or our master's or our diploma in education. That should already give you enough. All right. But the third component, all right, in a lot of places, it's something new. All right. But today, especially after March 2020, it has become something that can no longer be considered as a luxury. It is something that now considered to be a necessity. All right. So we need to we need to look at technology and we need to ask ourselves, where are we as far as the usage of technology to impact learning? Not use technology for the sake of using technology, but using technology to impact learning. All right, as far as our skills are concerned. Okay, so that is what we call the TPAC, yeah, the interplay between pedagogy, content, and technology. The same idea as what we had before. Different content will require different pedagogy. Different content and pedagogy will require different technology to support. We cannot be using one fits all kind of technology model, so that whatever that we teach, we are using just this one particular apps. Cannot be that way. Same as the pedagogy and content, combination. Technology will also need to be appropriate to the situation that we are dealing with. Right, and when we talk about technology, other than the technology being appropriate, we also have to grapple with problems like accessibility of the technology itself. Whether it is available in the location that we are going to be, delivering this thing. So these are some of the things that we need to look at. All right, and find ways of solving it and making the technology available to our students, right, or our target audience. Okay. All right, so this is, for example, the combination between technology and pedagogy. All right, so the combination of these two skills will help us understand how tools can be deployed alongside pedagogy in ways that support to the discipline and the development of the lesson at hand. So we need to know, all right, which technology support what kind of pedagogical approach that we are taking. All right, like I said just now, it is not one fits all kind of thing. Yeah, so this is the portion that describe the teacher's understanding of how technology can change both the teaching and the learning experiences. All right, and if we look at the combination, this one is the normal one. If we look at technology and content, this is where understanding of the subject matter and understanding of the technology that supports it is very crucial. All right, let's say, for example, can Minecraft be used to support religious Islamic studies? Can Minecraft be used to support activities in mathematics? All right, so knowing which technology can actually produce the best impact in the teaching and learning process will help you in choosing the correct technology for the correct situation. All right, so the first tip that I gave you earlier, one is first to understand or to look at your own self and ask yourself whether this is something that you love doing or this is something that you feel forced to do. All right, then need to change that mindset. All right, you can see now, the next portion is where we look at our own core skill. If you feel that you are in this situation by force, then you are going to have a lot of headaches, in trying to equip yourself with the necessary skill so that you can become an effective trainer. All right, so that's the reason why the mindset is a very important element to consider first and foremost. All right, that will actually influence whatever that you will do in the future. Let's say, for example, that technology wise you are not that savvy. All right, if you are a person who's passionate about this, all right, then you don't have any problem learning. All right, you will find ways to learn the new technologies and things like that. All right, but if you feel that this is something that I'm just doing this for grades, then you're gonna have problem. All right, so betulkan dulu niat, right? Betulkan dulu niat, then the rest will actually come into place. Okay, so this is the second element or the second part that you need to do your own self-assessment. we know that the three main components of teaching and learning process of today is the pedagogy, content, and the technology. The combination, the interplay of all these three will actually help our students. At the end of the day, it will help our students learning and will help learning happen in our students. All right, so that is the second thing that I want to share with you in terms of how do we go about getting ourselves ready to become a coach that can make a difference. Okay, everybody can become a coach or a teacher, but whether we are making a difference, that is a question that we need to ask ourselves. All right, okay. All right, so let's do another little activity. All right, can you again scan this QR code or the URL there? And there is a form that I have prepared to do just a little survey in terms of what oops, no one has come in. Are we having problem coming in?
Already submit, Doctor.
Submit.
Yeah,
Okay,
already
there you
submit.
go. There you go.
Doctor.
We got 23 responses. It was a little bit slow. All right, so we'll take a look. Oh, okay. Most of you, let's wait until everybody submitted. We got 30 responses at the moment. Okay. All right, so everyone, so not everyone, majority have actually used all of these that I have listed. There are more, but these are the common ones that what do you call it? That as a teacher, we need to at least know how to use. Yeah. So okay, 2 people only know how to use PowerPoint. 1 Sway, 1 Teams. The rest have tried all of those. Okay. Now, when we look at that, is knowing how to use. All right. The second question is, which tool do you think you are good at? Good meaning it's a little bit more than intermediate kind of usage. All right. If you are just like using PowerPoint for presentation kind of thing, that still to me that is still a very basic usage of PowerPoint. All right, so a little bit higher than just using it as a presentation tool. Maybe you have used PowerPoint to do quizzes, to do activities, those kind of things. Yeah. So okay, so we got about 11 people say that they are good at Word, 9 people good at PowerPoint. All right, but the rest not that many. And OneNote, okay, we got 5 people using OneNote already. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so this is an analysis. Oh, sorry, not analysis. Just a survey. Again, my intention is for you to start thinking. All right, these are the tools available. That I think is easily available to you. And where are we as far as the usage of these tools in terms of the teaching and learning process? It doesn't matter whether we are teaching online or offline. These tools are useful in both situations. All right, not that many are using Teams. Only 2 people are using Teams or feel that they are good at using Teams. All right, for the project that you are in, are you going to do an online training or offline?
Online training.
Online
Doctor.
training.
Online
Doctor.
training. Okay, so the platform that you're going to use, are you going to use Teams?
Yeah, we're gonna
Yes.
use Teams.
Okay. All right. So we probably need to upgrade our knowledge on Teams a little bit more. All right.
Yes.
How do you actually use Team because Team to me is a learning hub. It's a one-stop center for your teaching and learning process. With Teams, you do not need to worry about any other things. If you want to make it interactive, if you want to capture grades and everything, it's all in there. All right, so that is something that probably need to be looked at if you are going to use Teams as the platform of your teaching and learning process. Okay, so again, this is an example of what you can actually do for yourself. Right, my approach has always been asking myself first. All right, and then from there, then only I can actually plan my own self-development. All right, so internal processing. Okay. And another reason, as usual, another reason why I use this or I do this particular activity is to show you this is an interactive activity you can also do with your students. All right. What I'm using now, Microsoft Forms as a survey tool. You can also use Microsoft Forms as a quiz. All right. So this is for example, if you are doing this, this is going to be an online activity. If you have a 1 hour session, all right. What are some of the activities that you can actually put into your session to make it interactive? All right, because in a classroom we are there in front of our students. You know, we are always constantly asking questions and things like that. So students are always paying attention, they are alert and things like that. But now you are in front of the computer and they are on the other side, and we don't actually see them. All right. Right, you know, especially in situation like this, you know, all the cameras are off and things like that. You cannot even look at your student's face. All right, so it's very important for us to interject or put things in on a regular basis to make sure that our students pay attention and are in the call throughout the time. All right, so tools like Microsoft Forms, tools like Kahoot, tools like Polls Everywhere, those are very easy to use tools that you can actually take advantage of, leverage on in order for you to make your teaching and learning process, to make your training process a little bit more digestible by the intended audience. You as a speaker, usually you don't feel bored because you're talking. You know, I can be talking like 3 hours. You know, and for all I know, the person listening to me is actually not there at all. All right, but for the listener, for those who are receiving your teaching, they need to have some kind of activity as well. All right, so that they can actually keep alert, make sure that this thing is actually relevant to them and things like that. All right, so that's the reason why in TPAC, the technology portion, the added technology portion is a portion that we need to look at very closely. You need to master certain technology so that you can actually use that in order for you to deliver your content. Right? Because content is already there. You already have the content. You already have the pedagogical knowledge, right? But now we can no longer do it without the technology. So because of that, the other component, the technology component, is something that very crucial for us to add on to our repertoire of skills, so that we when we do teaching, when we deliver training, we can deliver it as highly impact as possible. All right. So other than these Microsoft tools, there are so many other tools outside there that actually can be used with your students. You have Padlet lah, you have all kinds of things. Yeah. And if the intended audience are going to be students from the primary school, then you need to find out those tools that have a lot of color to it, right? A lot of character to it, you know, for you to use. So again, your intended audience is also a factor that will decide on what kind of tools you will want to include in your teaching and learning process. All right, so that's an example of how we can use that. Yeah. Okay. Any questions so far? Let me just take a break. Stop right there for you to actually ask me questions.
Yeah, we got a few questions here, Doctor.
Please.
So let me read that for you.
Okay.
The first thing is how to increase our confidence if we are not very good in English, but the training session requires us to speak in English or deliver in English.
You have to practice.
Yeah, practice make perfect, right?
Right.
And
Okay.
then
All right. Seriously. Language is something that you do not get, or you do not what do you call it, master overnight. It is something. It is a long process. All right. It is a continuous process. Okay. Therefore, one way to do it is pick yourself up, find a sparring partner. All right, and practice. All right. You can record yourself, listen to yourself, and see where what areas you need to focus on in improving. All right. Or if you have a sparring partner, your partner will give you feedback on where to what to work on and things like that. All right. Now, for example, if you in terms of pronouncing correctly and things like that, Microsoft has this tool called Immersive Reader. Immersive Reader is a tool where you can actually take an article, use the Immersive Reader to read the article to you. All right, so at least you know pronunciation of certain words. All right, and I think in dictionary they have this as well. In terms of the pronunciation, they have both the phonetic symbols, and also now I think most online dictionaries will give you the voice pronunciation of any of those words. All right. I think there is no shortcut to mastering a language. You need to actually use it a lot. If this is something that that you need in your career moving forward, so this is something that you have to find time to invest in. All right, set aside time during the day. All right, you can form groups using Microsoft Teams or whatever, your conversation group, your sounding board group, whatever you call it. Spend 15 minutes a day. All right, consciously and continuously. During that 15 minutes, just speak to each other. All right, you have to do something. You have to make that effort. Right, because language, especially the verbal form, has to be practiced verbally. You cannot improve on your speaking by reading. All right, if you want to speak fluently, you got to practice speaking all the time. All right, so that is something that you need to invest in. Not invest in money. To me, it's always investing in time. All right, that is again. That's the reason why I started off by asking you your attitude towards this. Because if you feel that this is something that you want to do well, then you will find ways to actually improve your English, so that you know that when the time comes for you to do this coaching, your target audience will get the maximum from you. All right. I hope that answers your question. Okay, any other question?
yeah. You talk about the content, right? So one of the question is how to make people interested with our content or our thoughts.
Okay, that is a skill that you need to also culture in yourself. Yeah, you need to what do you call it? Develop in yourself. Again, imagine yourself in the classroom, physical classroom. All right. If you are teaching this content, how would you make it fun? How would you make your students in your classroom want to sit down and listen to you and do the activity that you want them to do? Okay. The same thought can also be used in an online kind of a session. Okay. But when we are online, what we are leveraging on is the technology, the apps that's available. There are so many apps available today that we can actually use to spice up our presentation and our session with our target audience. Let's say, for example, I've shown you can actually use polls everywhere. Start off the day by asking them to write one word that describe your yesterday. All right, if you're teaching language, for example, and you want to practice the past tense. All right, you can just say, okay, give me one thing that you did yesterday. All right, so that can actually get them interested, because once they have something to do in front of them, then they will be more involved because they have something invested in. If they are just listening to you talking, all right, that's when the not to say the problem, that's when the attention begin to wander. All right, because you always have to remember our attention span is not that long. All right, if you are kids, if you are primary school kids, the maximum amount of time you can pay attention, listening to people intently is probably no more than 3 minutes. Adults a little bit more, a little bit more. All right, teenagers probably a little bit more. But as you grow older, it becomes less again. All right, those kind of things. So keep this in mind. So when you are creating your activity, have those what do you call it, activities that you can actually put in. All right, that's the reason why just now I started off with the polls everywhere. Then I gave you the form to fill, the Microsoft form. Those are very simple activity that cut off the monotony of your presentation. All right, and I can use other things. I can use Kahoot, I can use Padlet, whatever that appeals to your student. Again, you will have to take a look at your student's age group. All right, number one. Number two is that your content must be relevant. What is the topic or what is the content that you are teaching your students or that you are going to be presenting to your target audience? It has to be relevant to them. It has to be something that they like or that they can relate to. All right, I have participated in a lot of inter country activities by teachers through the Skype connection, Microsoft global learning activities before, and now throughout the pandemic, we have a lot of teachers who are very actively connecting their students to students overseas. And these are from students to students. Right, and the activities that their students do. So we can actually do the same thing. We know that students like to be active. They like to present things. They like to say things out. They like to be given the opportunity to on their camera and say things. Those kind of things. So take that into consideration. And when you prepare your content, put this in throughout your presentation. If you have a 1 hour presentation, for example, maybe every 15 minutes you have one activity. To just tell them that, okay, are you all here? Those kind of things. Yeah. And that activity doesn't have to be a sophisticated type of an activity. All right. If you are using Microsoft Teams, in the chat box, get them to type, get them to send emoji to you, get them to upload their picture, whatever that you need to do. All right. To spice up your presentation. In the chat place, just we got chat here, right? So in the chat, you can actually get them to type things, answer your question. Like I asked you to do, raise your hands, and when they raise your hand, you acknowledge them, to show that you are paying attention to them as well. Okay, so again, there are a lot of things. If you are using Microsoft Teams, maybe we need to take a look at how you can actually use Microsoft Teams features to make your coaching session more lively. All right, so that's the reason why when we talk about that pedagogical aspect of TPAC, you need to master, not to master everything under the sun, but master things that you want to use in your teaching and learning process. So to me, the Microsoft tools like Microsoft Teams, if you know everything inside Microsoft Teams, or not to say like everything, if you know the main features as far as teaching and learning process in Microsoft Teams, you already have enough in order for you to create activities for your students. Okay, I hope I have answered that question. Any more?
Yeah, one more question.
Okay.
So the question is how to overcome the nervousness when communicating, especially when we meet new people.
Why are you nervous?
No, I mean it's not from me. I just read out the question.
I know. I mean the person who's asking me that question. Why are you nervous? Remember, you guys are on the road of being a professional. All right. if you have your content down pat, if you have your pedagogical skill down pat, you do not have anything to worry about. The person who is going to be listening to you are people who are going to be learning from you. Always remember, you can learn from anybody, even from a small child. So don't be nervous. Orang yang nervous ni orang yang tak prepare. Alright? If you are nervous, meaning that you are ill prepared. If you have prepared yourself, you have put everything in place, and you know step by step where to go and things like that, then I don't think you need to be nervous. Alright? When I say step by step kind of thing, janganlah terlalu rigid. You can actually create a flow, but you will have to also be sensitive to the situation. Also have to be sensitive to the target audience. If you need to readjust things along the way, you have to do that. Think on your feet. All right? So you have to adjust accordingly. Maybe this is not the right time to play Kahoot, even though I have put Kahoot as my third activity. Not yet, because the students are still struggling. Okay, put Kahoot at the end. All right, I go on with my next activity first. All right, or I prolong the second activity to make sure that my students will get the things that I need them to get before I do Kahoot. Kahoot is usually a test. All right, the only difference is that Kahoot make it fun. That's all. But it is actually, if you strip everything down, all the laughing things, all the podium and things like that, it's a test. All right, some people, they don't like tests, no matter how you sugarcoat it. All right. So this is the kind of thing you need to understand what the tools can offer to you. All right. So that is basically there is no need for you to be nervous. You have to feel that you are a coach. All right. And there is no right or wrong about in the teaching and learning situation. We cannot say you are wrong. That is your approach. All right. If you feel that it is not giving you the impact that you want, then you look at it yourself and see how you can change. All right. Yes, feedback is good from others, but for me, to me, your own feedback of yourself is actually more important, because the one who is going to do the adjustment is you. If somebody say, no, you got to stand on the chair, and turn on your camera. If you think that it's, that it's ridiculous, then it's ridiculous for you. Find other ways of how what you can do to attract your audience attention. All right. It goes back to the first question about yourself. You self-assess yourself. Okay. Any other question?
I guess that's it for as of now.
Okay.
You can proceed with your talk first.
All right, good. Please, if you do have any question, you can turn on your microphone if you want to speak to me, or you can just write it in the chat and the moderator will read it to me. Yeah, along the way. I do want you, get something out of what I'm sharing. So if you have any question, anything that I need to elaborate further, by all means, stop me and we will chat. All right. Okay. All right. The other thing that I want to share with you is one of the things that that Microsoft actually is actually very good at is providing what we call framework for us teachers to work on. All right, I want to share with you. I did not plan to do this, but I think I will share this with you because I think it will actually help you in designing the lesson activities that you have. How many of you have seen, or those of you who have gone into MEC, how many of you have seen or read or do the 21 CLD learning path? Anybody? Raise hand. Oh, Liana, okay, good. Have you done all 8?
Yeah, I done all of it.
Okay, good. All right. Muhammad Nora Fasiha. Okay. All right, great. Okay, so let's take a look at this, and let me just give you my take on all of this. rubrics and things like that. How do we bring this into our learning activities? Okay, the thing about 21 CLD, it is a framework for deep learning. That's what I call it. All right, it is something for us educators. It is something that we can actually use to help us, again, self-assess. All right, whether the activities that we have been giving our students actually encourage our students to learn at a deeper level, not the superficial level. All right, so this framework does that. Okay, and one thing good about this framework is that it is research based. Okay, it was a research done. Okay, so what this I think here in Malaysia, the PAK 21 defines that we want our students to, at the end of their school journey, we want our students to be able to be good or excellent in the content knowledge, plus the 4C and 1V. Right, today I think the global scenario has actually defined it as the 6 global competency, but it's okay. Right, we can actually hold on to the 4C and 1V. So what we want to be able to equip our students with is that at the end of their journey, they are good in their content knowledge, the 9As, the 8As, the 6As, whatever have you. All right, but in the 21st century, that is not enough. Just the excellence in the content knowledge is no longer enough. Why? Like we said earlier, this is a very volatile century. Things change very quickly. There is a study that was done. What you learn if you are in a 4-degree course, what you learn in the first year, especially in technical training or technical subjects, whatever that you learn in the first year will become obsolete by the 3rd year. Okay, so if we do not equip our students with all the other necessary skill, which is this 4V and 1C, we are afraid that by the end of the journey, they will not be able to survive. All right, so how do we develop this 4C and 1V in our students? Okay, so this is where the 21 CLD comes in. According to the research, that in the learning activities that you do in your classroom, if you consciously work in the 21 CLD elements in the activity, all right, on an ongoing basis, let's say, for example, from kindergarten all the way to college, right? God willing, inshallah, we will actually be producing students with the best content knowledge and also the ability to have communication skill, collaboration skill, critical thinking skill, creativity, a good value with the students. All right, so that is the intention of actually using this 21 CLD. Okay, so there are 6 dimensions. I just probably want to show you 1 or 2. All right, and then we can have a discussion on this. All right, but if there is a need for us to actually have a session on this, just let me know. All right. So again, the 21 CLD is a framework for deep learning. It was an outcome of a teaching and learning innovation research by Microsoft and its partners in 2009 to 2012, and it involves 10 countries altogether, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and in Asia or in our neighborhood, Indonesia and Brunei were the 2 countries that were involved in this particular research. All right, and the main finding that they got out of this whole research is that the one that actually will help your students to develop the skills in themselves, is your learning activities. If your learning activity geared towards them developing their ability to collaborate, then they will get the skill of collaboration. All right. If your learning activity is you talking in front and your students just receiving it, then there is no skill developed. rather than other than just the skill of listening and maybe taking notes. All right, that is what this this whole thing is all about. And I find that this particular framework is easy enough for us teachers to use, so that we can actually, whenever we create the activity that we want our students to go through, we have this in mind. All right, and we hope that by consciously work in all these elements, we will get our students the result that we want them to get. The questions about how do we get students interested and how do we get students like our activity, you can actually use 21CLD to design your activity in such a way that it will appeal to your students. All right, let's take a look at one. Okay, collaboration. How many of you here, if you have done practical teaching or some micro teaching kind of thing, how many of you have actually created a group work kind of an activity? Or you yourself from school and all the way to college now and university now, how many of you have been involved in a group work activity? Okay. All right, we got Nora, we got Liana, we got Nur Wafa, we got Wan Mutalib, we got Firdaus. I think none of us that do not have that experience. Everybody must have gone through a group work activity in our lives.
Yes,
right?
Doctor.
Yeah?
Yes, Doctor, correctly.
Yes. Okay, even when I was in school, like in the 60s, right? Even then, they were already group work activity. Especially now, when the push or when the focus is on student-centered activity kind of thing. So definitely, group work is the one of the main approach that we use in doing activity with our students. Okay, but then our question is, does our group work activity really produce the ability to collaborate? Okay, we have never asked that. We have never actually looked at the group work activity that we do and can confidently say, or can just say, okay, this activity actually will give our students the skill on how to collaborate. Okay, so this framework, this 21CLD actually, again, sort of ask us to ask ourselves that particular question. Okay, and because we can actually look at the activity in a collaborative work, what are some of the elements that needs to be available? Okay, and are those elements present in the group activity that we give our students? All right, so let's take a look. The first, as far as the definition of collaboration is concerned, it is an activity that students must do together. If they can actually do the activity without doing it together, then that's not collaboration. And I think in all our group work activity, that's what happened. Usually we are being put in a group, then our teacher will give us a task. Then they will tell us, okay, now I give you 10 minutes to discuss in your group. Then at the end of 10 minutes, I give you a mahjong paper for you to write on. Or right now we have PowerPoint to write on, whatever. And then you present. Right? That is what the instruction is given to us most of the time. Or we give the instruction most of the time. All right, but in reality, we know if you have 5 students in the group, how many will actually be doing the thinking? All 5? Maybe, right? Maybe if you have a lot of students who are very enthusiastic about it, but in general, it's literally 2 or 3. And worst case scenario is only the group leader. The rest will say, I agree. Okay, or one of them will probably be the secretary and jot down whatever the group leader says. All right, jot down on the mahjong paper, and the other one will say, okay, I will pin it up on the wall for you. Because we don't have any control. All right, the instruction we give that group work it's not specific enough for activity, group work or collaborative activity to really happen. Okay, so if we look at this collaboration in this 21 CLD, so if we are doing level one meaning that it's not, it's not a group work, so we don't care about level 1. All right, level 2 is that students do work together. We put them in group, we put them in pairs or in group, 2 or above. All right, they do work together, but they do not have shared responsibility. That is collaboration at level 2. Most of the time, the way that I described earlier, our group activity instruction, we are doing, yes, we do group work, but we are doing group work only at level 2, the lowest possible level. So when it is at the lowest possible level, what are the chances of us developing the ability to collaborate in our students? Very slim. All right, because the element of shared responsibility is not actually designed in that particular activity. You want them to have shared responsibility, you must design the activity that will force them to have shared responsibility. If you just leave it to chance, then it will become a chance lah. It may happen, it may not happen. All right, we do not want that kind of a situation. All right, so level 2, right now we are at level 2. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong. Please don't think that it is wrong. Okay, what we are saying is that don't stay there forever. All right, maybe at the beginning of the semester or the beginning of your class, at the beginning of the year, you probably want just the students to get to know each other, especially if it's like a Form 1 students going into secondary school kind of thing. You just want to get them to get to know each other. Then maybe you give activities like that so that they can feel a little bit free and things like that. All right, but do not stay there forever. Because the intention of doing group work is for us to instill the ability to collaborate amongst our students. Not for the sake of doing group work. All right. So at level 3, collaboration at level 3, according to 21 CLD, students do have shared responsibility but do not have. Okay. So level 3 meaning that the design of your activity will require students to have shared responsibility. All right, whatever that activity that you do, that they have to do it together. That means they share the responsibility of doing things together. All right. Level 4, shared responsibility and substantive decision together. Meaning that whatever the decisions that the group make is made together. We teach them on how to do or how to come together and decide on certain things, right? Maybe by voting or maybe by presenting an argument and then vote on it, those kind of things. All right. And level 5, the highest level of collaboration is that their work is interdependent, meaning that if one person does not do his or her part, then that particular assignment is not complete. Let's say, for example, a very simple example that I can give you offhand. Let's say, for example, you are doing an activity, an essay writing activity with your students. All right. Essay usually have parts. You got introduction, you got the body, maybe you got 3 points for the body, and then you got conclusion. So you have 5 students in your group. You assign everybody, whatever they need to do. One person do introduction and all of those things. All right. And one of the group member did not actually do his or her part. So that particular essay, no matter how you're going to put it, that particular essay will not be complete. Everybody else have 5 paragraphs. This particular group, because one has not done their part or his part, only have 4 paragraphs. That is how we can see whether the collaboration or the collaborative effort at the group is successful or not. All right, interdependent. All right, so here, in a lot of situations, here actually, the key point is at this particular level. At this particular level. Where is it? Shared responsibility. Usually, if you have designed your activity to ensure that your students have shared responsibility, then the substantive decision together and the interdependency will fall into place. All right. This is where we, in a lot of the group work that I have been in and that I have actually created in the past before I knew about this 21 CLD, this is the lacking part, the shared responsibility. Excuse me. How do you get shared responsibility? In a group discussion or in a group work, in a collaborative effort, there is two levels of commitment. The first one is the personal level. For you to be functional, for you to contribute to a group discussion, you must bring in your personal investment first. You must have something in hand that you bring into your group so that you can contribute. All right. Most of the time, we were not asked to do that. We were just asked to be in a group and then start discussion and whatnot. All right. So that one particular step is missing, and as a result of it, the rest does not fall into place. Your collaboration stays at level 2. All right, that's an example of how you can actually adjust your activity to make sure that after they go through your activity, they will slowly instill in them the ability to collaborate effectively. This is a skill that will be necessary for them when they go out there, and then when they start working, if you are in a secondary school, going to the university and whatnot, so that you can become a functional member, a useful member of a community. Yeah, a lot of time we do not get that because we were not to say trained. We are not used to making having shared responsibility in the group work. Right, that's the reason why sometimes if you have 5 people in a group, 2 or 3 people will be very stressful because they have to do all the work, and the other 2 will, and then you become very resentful of that person. So that feeling is very not nice feeling to be cultivating in ourselves. All right, so we need to start teaching. We need to start getting our students to realize that in a group work, it is a group work. You got to do this together. All right. So that is an example of how using the 21 CLD, you can use this in order for you to design your learning activities. Because as we said, as the research showed, or the result of the research said that the learning activities is the key in developing skills in your student. You want your students to be able to collaborate effectively. You need to look at your collaboration activities, and you need to ask yourself, at what level are you functioning right now? If you are already at level 5, well and good. Continue to give them that opportunity to be at that level as they do their group work. If you are at level 2, then find some way of how you can readjust, realign, redesign your activity so that maybe the next round of group activity that you do, you are at level 3. Okay, and it goes on. Right, so for those of you who have not who have yet to look at the 21st CLD learning path, I strongly suggest that you take a look, and I know there are a lot of other examples in there, questions and things like that. You will probably make you understand better. All right, and do not stop there. Use use the rubrics when you start coming up with activities that you are going to use with the people that you're going to be coaching. All right. If you know that you are doing shared responsibility, then the next question would be what tools available. What are the tools available under the Microsoft Office 365 that you can actually use to encourage shared responsibility? All right. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yeah, we got one in the chat box.
Okay.
So Atira asked how to catch up student who lost during middle of online class, because you said that the time spent for individual is very different, right? So some of them might lost.
Okay. Again, you need to take a look at your activity, the speed of your activity. Remember, in any kind of a class situation, minimum number of learning styles that we have in our students are 4. If you have done the VAC learning styles survey, if you have not, look for VARK. All right, we know that each and every one of us learn very differently. All right, there are at least four different ways of learning in us. Okay, one is visual. Some students learn very well when they see pictures, when they see graphs, when they see mind maps and all of those things. Number 2 is audio. All right. Some students learn very well when they have something to listen to. All right. Number 3 is read and write. Some students, they need to read something or else they won't be able to understand. And another one is kinesthetic. Kinesthetic means that they need to do something. All right. You know, in any class, you know, whether the class is a primary school, secondary school, university, what have you, you got these 4 different learning styles. In order to avoid people from losing or getting lost in the middle of your exercise or in the middle of your presentation, your activity must take care of these 4 learning styles. Try and bring in all the elements of these 4 learning styles in your activity. All right. Today, I use my voice. For those of you who are good, learn from listening, I use the PowerPoint that I'm showing to you now. For those of you who are visual learners, I use the survey and activity. For those of you who are kinesthetic, all right. And the text in this thing is for you, for those people who need to read and write. All right. So the interplay of the media that you use can also help your students to learn and also to pay attention and to stay on. All right. That is one learning style. Remember, never think that one fits all. Never. You know, maybe if you buy tudung or anything like that, that can happen. But in the teaching and learning process, if you have that attitude of one fits all, then you are going to lose a lot of your students. All right. So when you prepare it goes back to the activity that you are designing. That's the reason why 21CLD's research states that the main element that will help your students learn is your learning activity. So when you start designing your learning activity, you must, other than the rubrics, the 21st century rubrics that you can use, you must also know that each student is different. Not only the attention span, but the way they accept information. All right. So you must be ready to include all these little things. All right. So that you can keep their attention intact for the amount of time that you want them to stay with you. All right. Again, one of the other things, since you are going to be doing this online, one of the other things that I think that you need to go and look at and find out is what are the tools that's available. Okay. Look at who are you going to be teaching. Are you going to be teaching primary students, secondary students, adults? All right. And see what are tools that are appropriate to be used. Tools like Kahoot is generic. it can be used for any age group. All right, but tools, things like Flipgrid also is something generic that you can actually use it with any age group. But let's see, for example, if you're looking at primary school students, there are apps out there that you can actually use just for primary school students, because primary school students, if you ask them to type longs and things like that, they may not be able. For primary school students, you will need to find games or tools that only need for them to click. Right, so that must be appropriate to their age group. All right, so those are the things that you need to do to start preparing yourself. But all will be in your learning activity. That learning activity is the one that will actually influence whether your students stay on or not, or whether they will come back in the next class and things like that. All right, so make sure when you design your learning activity, what is your learning objective? The first thing, you do not want to design an activity that does not achieve your objective. That's one, right? That's not the way to do it. Learning objective is something that guides you as far as what activity to choose, what needs to be included and whatnot, right? That's one. Number two, look at this 21 CLD rubrics. At what level do you want things to happen? All right, let me show you another one. Then I think you. Okay, let's take a look at this ICT in learning. This is the use of technology, right? We are going to be use technology because we are going to do this online. So when we use technology, it is technology in learning, meaning that the activity is for the students, not for us. If you are using, like I'm using now, I'm just using PowerPoint to show you. This is technology, ICT in teaching. Not to say doesn't benefit the students, but the skills that we want our students to get is the technology, the ICT that impacts their learning. All right. So according to this one, also there are about 5 levels of ICT use. Yeah. Level 1, not use ICT. We don't. Okay. Level 2, for example, students are using ICT, but to only reproduce information or practice basic skills. This is the use of ICT at level 2. ICT is not used for knowledge construction. All right. So if you want to use technology, which you will be using, all right, is the technology that you are using meant for just reproducing information? All right. If it is yes, and if you know the reason why, yes, this is only for reproducing information because I just want to find out whether they still remember what I taught yesterday. Then okay, that reason is valid. All right. So at that particular point of activity, you are using ICT, you are using the technology at level 2. Again, nothing wrong, nothing wrong. But what we are saying is that, as always, do not stay there forever. All right. So the next time you want to use technology to support your activity, it has to be at a higher level. All right. So this is what we mean. We look at the activity that we are creating. First of all, will it fulfill, or at the end of this activity, will our learning objective be fulfilled? 1. Number 2, are we going to use technology to support this activity? If it, of course, it's yes. Yes. Okay. Now, at what level of technology am I going to use here? If consciously you decide, I just want to do level 2, no problem. For this particular activity this week, only level 2 of ICT use, no problem. Consciously make that decision. Don't leave it to chance. All right. But hopefully next week, when you continue with the teaching, you will bring the students to using ICT or using technology at level 3. You are using technology to support the knowledge construction. No longer just reproducing. All right. Okay. And then the next level is using ICT, knowledge construction, and need to create a new ICT product. That means at the end of your activity, your students will have some new products that they will create. A PowerPoint presentation, a Sway presentation, a Minecraft activity, whatever. In order for them to apply the content that we have given them, the content knowledge that we have given them to a new situation. Okay, then we are actually using the technology at a higher level, at level 4. Okay, and at level 5 is the product can be used for an authentic user. Let's say, for example, you do a project, an activity with the students for example, a week or a week and a half long. You go through the, you give them the content, knowledge and whatever, and then at the end of it, you have activities with them, and then they will have to come up with, say, for example, with a newsletter using Sway. All right, and then you say, okay, this newsletter is going to be shown, or you are going to present this newsletter to your friends in Japan. All right, or if you are going to be doing with the students in Bangladesh and also the students in Indonesia, right? So now you can say, all right, this activity we are going to present to our friends in Indonesia and Malaysia. All right, for example, target audience, authentic audience. Okay, so the students will definitely be doing things that they know at the back of their mind, that they know that this is not going to be just my classmate or the person next to me listening to me, but it's going to be somebody else. Right? That can be used also as a motivation for them to want to do well. Right? So that's how, when we look at these rubrics and you ask yourself whether the ICT that you're using right now is at the lowest level or at the highest level, it can help us adjust accordingly. So that when you use ICT, you are actually using it for an impact. Right? Not just for, again, not just for using ICT for the sake of using ICT. That's the reason why I called 21CLD. It was not a name given then. I called 21CLD a framework for deeper learning. Right? We take the learning to a higher level. We know where we are right now. Yeah. All this while, this has been our practice. Okay, we know where we are. It's okay, all right, because before this we did not know the existence of 21CLD. Now we know. We are going to use these rubrics to help us bring up or bring the learning activity that we give our students to a higher level, so that the benefit is theirs, not us. The benefit is actually theirs. The kebenjadian murid, all right, is actually the impact is on our students. This is the thing, it's not because I'm a Microsoft global training partner. The reason why I decided to join Microsoft is because of this. One thing about Microsoft is that when they suggest something, or when they want to push their tools, one of the things that they always do is they are going to always have a research on it first. All right. Number two, they will give all the necessary support in terms of literature, in terms of framework like this, So for us teacher, it's very easy for us to implement. We have this, you can tick. Oh, dalam activity ni actually I only ask them to read and then copy paste whatever that they have learned, so that they can actually put it in their portfolio. That's level 2. All right, but in the or if you say, okay, in this activity, I get them to read the article from the internet, and they need to actually summarize. All right, and in 3 words or in 5 words or 2 sentences, whatever that they have read, then that is probably at level 3. All right, they use it for knowledge construction. Knowledge construction means changing information to knowledge. What I am giving you today is just information. If you just keep it and not actually apply it in your work, in your teaching and learning, in you preparing yourself and whatnot, and it will stay as information. And you will forget it 2 days from now. All right. But if you take whatever that you have read or whatever that I've shared with you this morning, all right, and then implement it in you preparing yourself to become coach and whatever, then that will become your knowledge. Knowledge is up here, right? It's in here, and it will always be there forever. Anytime you want to use it, something that will trigger, it will actually spark our memory for it. Right? That is important. The key element is we want our students to take information that we have given them and change it into knowledge. Knowledge is the one that they will keep forever in their life. All right, if you have experience learning a second language, learning another language, all right, if you just learn the theory of the language and you just practice, a little bit, all right, by the end of the year, you usually will forget. But if you learn that language, you practice, you find a sparring partner. Like an example, my own example is I learned how to speak Spanish. The reason why my work in the brief that Liana read earlier is that I taught in Mexico for that reason, because I went into an immersion program. I taught in Mexico for the reason of me wanting to practice my Spanish language. All right, so 30 years ago, when I was in the States, my Spanish was pretty good. It is, let's say, for example, at the intermediate level. But when I came home, nobody to spar with, nobody to practice the Spanish with. So it was like dormant in my mind. End of 2019, I had a chance to go to Chile with the Antarctica expedition team. Chile speaks Spanish. All right, the Chileans speak Spanish. It came out. Even though I've not spoken it for so many years, but because I was in that situation where Spanish was used, I managed to understand and I managed to answer at the elementary level. That is because at that time, that information about the Spanish language became knowledge to me, and I kept it forever. All right. If we want to make a difference in our students' life, if we want to make a difference in our students' learning, we need to find ways for our students to convert the information that we give them through books, through website, through our lectures or whatever into knowledge. All right. Again, another example, if you have learned how to ride a bicycle before, if you take a bicycle, you try it out, you fell, you hit a fence, you tumble and whatever, at the end of the day, you know how to ride the bicycle, all right? Even if you do not have an opportunity to hold a bicycle for 10 years, at the end of the 10 years, you found a bicycle, you can still ride it. But if you were to just read a manual on how to ride a bicycle, all right, you have to do first step, this, second step, this, and third step, this, and you memorize that manual. Even if I were to give you a bicycle to you next week, you wouldn't be able to ride it. Why? Because knowledge is still knowledge. The information, the guideline or the manual is still an information. It has not been translated to knowledge. How it is translated to knowledge? Experience. You got to use it. All right, so today I hope what I've shared with you this morning will be used in you trying to prepare yourself for your coaching stint. All right, and so that it will become knowledge to you rather than just as information. Okay, any other questions? Anything else? Anything that you want to ask?
I don't think we have any other question yet as of now.
Okay, all right. So again, this is an area, something that I think all of you can look into. Do the learning path for 21st century learning design. This is also the material that will be used if you want to take the certification Microsoft Educator certificate MCE. The whole exam is about 21st century learning design. All right, so if you have done the learning path, and if you want to sign up and do the exam, it's a paid exam, because this is one certificate that is being recognized worldwide. Then you can sign up for it and you can do the test. All right, but to me, it's like I said, to me, this 21 CLD learning design is something that will actually help us teachers in looking at our learning activities, the activities that we are giving our students a little bit more deeper. All right, so that the activity that we do will actually create an impact. All right, so that is something. Oh, sorry. Oops. Okay, so they are these 6 elements. Not necessary. What it meant is that we don't say that you have to have all the 6 elements in your activity. What we are saying is that an interplay, a combination of these elements. All right. For example, usually the collaboration can come very closely with knowledge construction or with skill communication, or collaboration needs to be supported by ICT in learning, those kind of things. So in a small activity, in an activity, for example, in an hour activity, the most you probably can do is probably 2 of these dimensions in there. All right. If it is a long-term kind of an activity, if we are really looking at the real world problem solving here, all right, then all 6 can actually be happening in different parts of the project, or in the different parts of the activity. So it depends on what kind of an activity that you are doing, and you can take a look at this 21CLD's framework and see how you can enhance the activities to ensure that the targeted outcome can be achieved accordingly. All right. So that is the other thing that that I want to share with you. The next one is just, we still have about 15 minutes left. Let me show you an example of a lesson plan that has this what we meant. Yeah. Okay, so this is an example that I usually show my teachers. How do we implement, or how do we apply the 21CLD in enhancing this lesson plan? So this is a lesson plan for a normal teacher teaching history. All right, as usual, very teacher centered. Teacher pamerkan gambar and all of these things. Right. So as far as skills development is concerned, the 6 global competency, very little is actually being developed in this way because it's very teacher centered and whatnot. All right. So what we have done is that we revamp it a little bit. All right, and add other things to it so that it becomes a little bit more. Okay, we call it a hack lesson plan. Are you aware of the MIEE nomination, Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert?
Yeah. And gonna
anybody applying?
All of us are going to apply actually, and then we have another session with Miss Fairuz next week for the nomination.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is an example of what you can do with your lesson plan for the MIEE later on. Yeah. So let's say, for example, this one just now, the teacher does everything. So, he showed everything and whatnot. Typical, yeah, typical normal classroom. So what we have done is actually, instead of the teacher giving everything, all right, we are asking the students to actually, or we are giving back the responsibility of learning to the students. Okay, so we add in activities like this is about the monarchy in the ASEAN country, ya, sistem beraja di negara Asia. Okay, so first of all, we need to ask our students, do they know what Asian countries is? Most of the time kita assume, right? We assume that they know, all right, but they may not know. Okay, so let them find out first, all right? So this is the first 2 activity is for the students to do it on their own. All right, so since we are going to do it online, so we're using technology like Bing, the Microsoft, what do you call it? The Microsoft browser. All right, and students list all the ASEAN countries, and then students guess which country are still under the monarchy system. All right, so these are the things that the students are doing on their own. So now we put them in group, right, using Microsoft Teams. Students compare and discuss each answer and come up with a common answer. You see here, The reason why we want them to do things on their own first, like I said earlier in the collaboration skill, if you want to collaborate successfully in a group work, you must have something that you bring in. All right. So the commitment of the personal level. So if we do not if we do not get our students in our activity, we do not get our students to do things on their own first. When they go into the group, they bring nothing. So how are they going to discuss? So in this situation, a very small change in the activity that we normally do. Right? Instead of just asking them, okay, now go into your group and this is what you do. We say first, okay, now before you go into your group, you go and find first all the Asian countries. Look at the map, or find in the internet, whatever that you have, or look at your textbook. Just list the name of the Asian countries, and then list out, and then which one do you think are the countries still with king or the monarchy system? This is something that they will bring into the group. Answer for themselves. Make sure that everybody has that answer, so that when they go into the group, all right, when they want to discuss, then everybody has something that they will bring. All right. Most of the time they are not discussing, or they are just letting the group leader does the work. It's because they don't have anything that they bring in. They don't have anything to show. If they have something to show, I'm sure definitely some of them will want to defend their answer, so that the answer will be chosen. All right. So that initial personal commitment is very important. And it is not some major change in our group work. It's just a little change in the process of we setting up the activity. All right. So that's an example. Yeah. So you can go in, and they can use Edge, Microsoft Edge. Then you can use at this level, when we say learner compare, discuss each answer and come up with a common answer. There you go. Shared responsibility and perhaps substantive decision made together. So here, collaboration can be at level 3 or maybe also at level 4. All right. So from level 2, the normal way of doing things, you just change one thing. You just change the fact that every student must bring an answer to the group. Just by changing that dynamic, you can now bring the collaboration effort, the collaborative work in that group to a level, one level higher, or even 2 level higher. All right. So that's always the thing that I always emphasize with teachers. We are not trying to ask you to revamp or try new things. No, look at whatever you have. Use the 21st century learning rubrics to code coding. Yeah, not level 1, level 2 is, again, we are not saying that level 1 is better than level 2. No, we are just saying that we are now at level 2. So what can you do to go to level 3? Right? So you can code your lesson, and then based on that coding, based on where you are at the moment, do something about it. All right? Or add activities, add things to it, so that you can actually take that activity to a different level. Right? This is how we apply the 21 CLD rubrics into our lesson plan, into our present lesson plan. If you are designing a new activity, then you can use that rubric to design your activity right from the beginning by bringing in the elements of the rubric. But if you already have a lot of lessons you have written, all right, and you want to use this, don't throw it away. What you need to do is look at it, use the rubric to do the coding. This activity, collaboration level what, knowledge construction level what, and whatnot, and then work from there. Work from there to take the activity to a higher level. All right. So that's an example of how a very simple one that I can show you. An example, how do you bring the 21 CLD and apply it into your learning situation, into your activities, especially if you do have activities that you are already using. I'm sure when you become teachers later on, same activities is being used over and over again over the years, right? Nothing wrong with that. The only thing that you need to do is For every year, take a look at the relevancy. Take a look at right, maybe the tools have already improved. There are many other tools that can support this particular activity. Then you maybe you want to change the tools, but the activity is still the same. All right. So it is not like going over and revamping everything. No, it's actually realigning. All right. That's the reason just now I said reinventing yourself, so you can also realign the activity. Your students will get the maximum impact during their time. Okay, the technology explosion is going to make something that is relevant today no longer relevant the same time next year. May not be. Right? So that is the thing that you young guys, you need to get take the stand, take the attitude of always keep up with the technology change in educational technology. All right, for example, TikTok. All right, it is something that people lose. People were, all the negative comments about, I think, but now it's a tool that everybody is using, especially for teaching. Even my Quran teacher is using TikTok. All right, technology has always been created for the good. Whether we use it for the good or for the bad, that's us. So don't blame technology. Okay, look at us. Why are we using it this way? All right. So these are some of the things that we need to tell ourselves, and we need to get the right attitude so that you are impacting somebody's life. All right. So we want to make sure that we give the best, and we leverage on the best technology so that learning can happen in a very effective way. All right, I think I'm just going to stop there. If there are any more questions, anything that you need to ask, because if I go further, nanti kan tak cukup masa pula. All right, and I sincerely hope that whatever that I've shared with you is something that is useful, that you can actually use it to prepare yourself for the assignment that's been given. All right. And again, if there are anything that I can do to help, just let me know.
Yes, doctor, thank you for that. And then we have one last question.
Okay.
So Miss Nora asks us, could you give us some tips to attract students from other countries? How can we make sure they understand our lesson? I think because we're going to have a collaborative Microsoft partner with the Sri Lanka and also Indonesia. So we might have different cultures, right? So
teaching and learning process, I think not much of a difference. Students' needs, students' what do you call it? Ability. I think it's still almost the same. The only difference would be the cultural aspect. So before you go in and start doing your activities with them, you first need to find out what are the do's and the don'ts in their culture. Yeah, the main thing or the first thing that will make people run away or make people be is because you do something that is actually against their culture, right? So get to know who you are going to be dealing with. You know that it's already, your target audience are Indonesian and Bangladeshis. So what are some of the things that attract them? That is one. All right. What are things that I give you an example. About 4 or 5 years back, I went to a group of us, volunteers. We went to Kampung Orang Asli in Tasik Banding. Very deep inside. It's 45 boat ride from Greek into this particular settlement for Orang Asli. The intention was, the guru besar there was a friend of one of my volunteers. He asked us to come in because he saw that we did a lot of weekend study skill workshop with the students here around Shah Alam. He said that please come in and help me with my Orang Asli student. I only need one student to have to pass UPSR so that I can get all the fundings that I need. So we say, okay, we will come. So we went with all the preparation that we always do when we teach here in Shah Alam. We bring all kinds of things, all the worksheets and everything, and when we got there, all they like to do is sing. Right? All they want to do is actually sing. They do not want to do anything else. So whatever that we have planned went down the drain. All right. So we readjust. All right. We readjust. Things can be taught through songs. Right? So it happened that time it was like Mother's Day weekend and all of those things. So we turned it around instead of doing the normal way of doing our study skills work here in Shah Alam with our regular students. This is the Orang Asli settlement. This primary school student. They like to sing, they like to draw, they like to move around and things like that. So we went in, readjust kind of things, and we managed to get them to be interested. All right. So getting to know your students or your target audience is very important. So that you won't bring in example. You are talking to the Bangladeshi student. You don't bring in things like something that they are not familiar with. Nasi lemak contohnya, as an example. That's beyond their comprehension. Then they will not become interested. But if you bring things in like all the different kind of prata and whatnot, maybe that will be interested in. All right. So get to know your students. Get to know your students first, or the target audience first, as far as the do's and the don'ts, especially in their culture, and also what are their likes, what are the things. Do a little bit of research initially before you start developing your activities, and also before you start delivering your activities. When is this going to happen?
It's going to be on 28th June until 4th of July, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It's going to be a long, the whole week.
Okay. Quite close. So scramble. Yeah. Scramble and go get the information that you need. Okay. All right. Okay. So I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And I believe that concludes our today's sharing session. And I really want to convey my gratitude to Dr. Azma for taking time to speak with us today. You share a lot of things. You share about the tips and tricks to be a better trainer. And then you also share about the 21 CLB. And the last one, you shared about how to write a lesson plan to nominate. And then we can use that lesson plan to actually nominate us for MIEE. And then I really hope that all the peer coaches would take advantage of our sharing session today and apply those tricks and tips in our next program, which is International Innovative Microsoft Peer Coaching with Indonesia and also Sri Lanka. So thank you so much, Doctor.
You're most welcome.
And please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Azma, for helping out with my my students here, my team. This is my team. Yeah, I introduce you.
Okay, all right. These are all what do you call it? Pre-service teachers, are they?
Yes, pre-service teachers. They are postgraduate actually. They are doing their DPP, Diploma in Pasca Pendidikan.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. So good. Okay. Good. I'm so happy to see young faces, young teachers. You are the orang kata harapan masa depan kita lah. As far as teaching and learning is concerned. Please. I always appeal to young teachers. Please embrace technology. Leverage on it. So that we can make a difference with our students' life. Nak suruh orang yang senior ni kadang-kadang dia takut meletup. But I always say, I'm 63, but I'm very attracted to technology and see how it can impact people's life. All right. So you young ones, you should be much better lah, as far as using technology is concerned. All right. And thank you, Doctor, for calling me and giving me this opportunity. I'm always ready to help in any which way I can.
Okay. So this won't be the last event together. Okay, Izzati, over to you. Okay, Doctor, we are going to have a photo session sekejap ya.
Okay, boleh.
So we stop our live streaming just now. Okay. Alright. So siapa yang in charge tadi, Izzati and Shida, please take the ni Kita ambil lebih tak apa. Izati Syida Dia coach.
Alright. Okay.
Okay, Assalamualaikum Doktor.
Wassalamualaikum.
Terima kasih.
Thank you everyone.
Terima
Stay
kasih.
safe. Happy weekend. Stay safe. Alright.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Assalamualaikum. Take care.
Wassalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bye.
Bye.